Hello, my name is Pavel. Welcome back to another video. Today, we're looking at all the movies I watched in October, aka Spooky Month. So, I started off my month with Trick or Treat, a collection of entangled stories from Halloween night. It's a concept that I thought wouldn't really work, but I was like, hey, why not give this movie a go? And I'm so glad I did. This movie's under 90 minutes long and it accomplishes so much in that runtime. It presents to you so many characters, so many stories, and somehow is able to tie them all together fluently. This movie looks great with some really beautiful imagery, flows really well, and it's just a fun time. So what's not to love? Next, I watched A Nightmare on Elm Street. I know, I'm embarrassed to say that this is the first time I've seen this, and you know what? I'm really glad I watched it now, because I feel as if I wouldn't have gotten the most out of this movie if I watched it when I was like a little bit younger. I had such a good time with this film. The concept of this film is incredible. Having a killer in your dreams being able to kill you in real life is so cool. And also, Freddy is a fucking terrifying villain. And one of the things I find so interesting about him is his confidence. Like he just knows he's going to be able to kill you and he's not going to give up. This movie has so many iconic scenes too, like the bath one. Also, I didn't know Johnny Depp would be in this, which was a bit of a surprise. So yeah, I had a good time with this film and I'll be definitely rewatching it soon. Then I watched Men, and I didn't really like this movie. Well, maybe I liked like the first 20 minutes, and I really liked like Jessie Buckley as in her role in this film, but as a concept I thought it would work well. It's basically a story about a woman who retreats into the countryside alone in the wake of a tragedy, but slowly realizes everyone in the town is the same person but with different clothes and stuff like that. Saying that, that's probably all I liked about this movie. It tries way too hard, and we get it. Yeah, you understand religion well and try to make the audience feel a little bit dumb by having way too many religious references and imagery in the movie. And yeah, sorry, but it sucked. Definitely not for me. After that, I watched Poltergeist, and how have I never seen this movie before? It was such a fun time. The special effects look so funny in 2022, and the last 20 minutes of this movie were so crazy, but I fucking adored it. Except there's like this one character in this film that I found super annoying, and I was so glad when she left. But yeah, I definitely understand why this movie was so influential in 1982, and if it made me quite scared in 2022, then it's definitely stood the test of time and deserves its classic title. Next, The Night House. I didn't really like this movie too much. Okay, as a movie in general, it was okay. The themes it was trying to explore felt a little boring. I felt as if it missed what it was going for. Saying that, it made me jump a few times and I was really sucked into the story, but once you discover what is happening, I just felt a little bit disappointed. The movie felt a little bit vague. It feels like there's scenes in the movie just for the sake of it, therefore leaving it a little anticlimactic, and I just became disinterested by the story the further I went into the film. Although I did find this movie to look really good, so I guess there's that. Right? Let the right one in. A beautiful movie about a slow build-up of friendship between a girl who is a vampire and a boy who is confused. This movie is paced so well and it feels like the movie was filmed with so much care. It might be the best vampire movie I've ever seen. It's so original, looks so good, feels artistic, poetic, and is a movie that explores themes of good and evil in such a unique way. So definitely watch this if you haven't. Like, this is one of those movies that's been on my watch list for such a long time, so don't be like me and wait like over 5 years to watch it. So just watch it now. Next, I watched Axum, the worst horror-rated movie on IMDb. I made a video on it and it's weirdly a fun time with some iconic performances. I feel like this movie should have a cult following, but that's all I'm going to say because I already made a video on it, so go watch it. Or maybe it's not even uploaded at the time of uploading this video. I don't really know. Next, I watched Terrifier. This movie was low budget and it looked a little bit bad, but it's one of those movies that is just so easy to hate on. But let's just talk about the pros for a second. The makeup in this movie is fucking terrifying. The clown is horrifying, and it's just a fun movie. The kills are fun. There's so many scenes where the movie doesn't hold back at all, which I love. Like, there's one scene where something gets split in half, and that's all I'm going to say. But if you've seen this movie, you know exactly what I'm on about. I'm so excited to watch the second one, although I don't know if I'm going to be watching a 2.5-hour movie like this again, because I heard it's like the first one, and if it's anything like the first one, I do not think I'm going to be sitting through 2.5 hours of this at the moment. But this movie was so fun, and I think having it under 90 minutes was the right amount of time for this film. Next, I watched Thelma. I adore Joachim Trier. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing his name right, but he's like one of my favorite directors of this year and maybe of all time. I fucking adore this movie, and I adore him. Like, his films are incredible. I love how all of his movies are like character driven, and somehow Trier is able to suck you into a story so fast and make you drawn into the characters. And watching a movie of his take a dark turn is something I really loved. This movie looks at guilt, specifically religious guilt, but it also looks at personal expression, relationships with parents, and everything in between. And I need to mention how beautiful this movie looks. Its pace is great. Just mwah, go watch this movie. Next, I watched Fresh. This movie feels like the director watched an episode of You and blended some ideas from Get Out and then made this. I found the constant use of music everywhere a little bit annoying, and the motivation about what is really happening in this movie so hazy and never really properly explored. But the visuals look really good, especially the transitions and framing, but sometimes it feels like it's trying too hard, like you have an ordinary thing happen and it's shot as if it's the most important part of the movie, which makes me feel a little bit conflicted. I can't tell if it's good or just a little bit annoying. There's also some parts that practically don't make sense, but I don't want to spoil it, so I'm not going to dive further into that. One thing though I really liked about this movie is the peak of revenge that happens near the end of a movie. It was so hectic and I loved it. Overall, like, the last 30 or so minutes of this movie are so good. There's one scene about 20 minutes away from the end, and it's something to do with biting something off, and that's all I'm going to say. But if you know, you know. And I kind of want to mention that I really like Daisy Edgar Jones. She's so fucking cool. So if like the first 2/3 of this movie could be like the last third, that would be incredible. And I think that's all I gotta say. Next, I watched Freaky. To be honest, all I can say about this movie is that I had a really good time with it. Basically, it's a slasher movie, but in the style of Freaky Friday with Vince Vaughn. I was a little skeptical about having Vince Vaughn in the movie, but honestly, seeing him pretend to be a 16-year-old girl for an hour and 40 minutes is really fun. I didn't take the movie too seriously, and I think that's the perfect way to watch it. Just sit back and don't acknowledge a lot of the stuff that just doesn't really make sense. Then I watched 2 short horror movies called Hairwolf and The Beaning because I saw them on some Instagram page, and I thought that Hairwolf was really good, very interesting and quite thought-provoking, but then The Beaning was also thought-provoking but very weird. I don't know if I really liked this short film. But aside from the horror movies, I also watched Reprise, Shame, Sex, Lies and Videotape, Boogie Nights, Troll Hunter, Rocks That Bleed, Oslo, August 31st, Shiva Baby, Stranger Than Fiction, Francis Ha, John Mulaney's New in Town, and Funny Pages. But I didn't really want to review them because I wanted to focus on spooky movies in this video, so that's what I did, and that's everything I watched that's horror related in October. I'm also going to see The Witch tomorrow and Rocky Horror Picture Show the day after, but I can't really include that into the video because I won't have time to edit and film and stuff like that. But yeah, just pretend to watch those as well. Have you seen any of these movies? What did you think of them? And yeah, it's time for the outro. Hello, welcome to the outro of this video. I wanted to ask you, what movies did you watch in October, and did you watch many Halloween-y movies? I had such a great time this month watching movies that I would usually not watch, and I discovered so many great movies that I've mentioned throughout the video, and I just had so much fun. I really wanted to focus on the horror movies, that's why I didn't review the other movies that I mentioned towards the end of the video. And yeah, if you want to watch more reviews, check out my other videos, and please like this video and subscribe to the channel because it would really help. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.